Hello traders, this is Jim Comiskey, back for round two. It is Friday the 23rd at about 2:30 or so now. Okay, where I was. I had basically been, I was keyed to this, by the way, by Brandon Smith of Alt Markets. Hats off, Brandon. This was posted on Zero Hedge, The Oil Conundrum Explained. It was posted this morning at about 8:45 Eastern. All right, it's a great write-up on crude oil. All right, but it definitely gets you thinking. All right, because here's the deal. Now I started with a little bit of a tease here with this GAO report, and I never really went into what this report is documenting, other than yes, okay, the Fed emergency loans, et cetera, et cetera. Now this doesn't include TARP. This list. All right, it's a bunch of emergency facilities that were set up by the Fed to flood money into the banking system. It's on page 131 of a report that is literally 300 pages long or so that went up on the U.S. Government Accountability Office website July the 11th. July 2011. All right, now, it's a direct list. Okay, in a sense, the closest thing you're going to get to a bona fide audit of the Federal Reserve. They loaned $16.115 trillion to the top about 25 banks. All right, the top of the list was Citibank at 2.5 trillion, Morgan Stanley 2 trillion, Merrill Lynch 1.9. They're even lending to Barclays and Royal Bank of Scotland. I realize this list it did make a news at the time. All right, so this probably isn't a great revelation to you, but this didn't include TARP. Okay, so this $16.115 trillion, they don't disclose the terms of these loans. They're probably still out there. Well, I don't know. There's no way to tell. And damned if I'm going to read a 330-page report, if I don't have to. But anyways, these are broken down in terms of all these little increments or all these little, the names of these facilities that they've set up. None of them are TARP. TARP was legitimately paid back. I don't think these were. And that's basically what this report goes on to say. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this report about Oil Conundrum Explained, for it's a brilliant write-up. But anyways, okay, so 16.11 trillion that's being admitted to new dollars in the system since '08. All right, that's the reason why you've got crude up at these levels. All right, and gold and silver and stocks, because the money center banks are flooded with cash. They're awash with cash. All right, so here, I'm just going to now read some of this, okay? I'll reiterate. The most prominent but false conclusion on the expanding value of oil, price of oil, are centered on assertions that supply is decreasing dramatically and demand's increasing dramatically. Neither of these claims are true. Okay, in fact, global oil use since the credit crisis of '08 has tumbled dramatically. This decline accelerated at the end of 2011 and the beginning of 2012, all while oil prices rose. All right, now there's another index that you really, if you aren't watching it, you should watch it. It's called the Baltic Dry Index. It is a measure of global shipping rates and the demand of freight, okay? And it's fallen off a cliff in recent months. All right, so there's an international indicator of a sharp slowdown in consumption. All right, just Google it, Baltic Dry Index. Okay, all right, so you've got supply high across the board, inventory stock, demand weak. So by all common market logic, gasoline prices should be plummeting, and far more Americans should be smiling at the pump. Of course, this is not the case. All right, another issue which should be stressed is renewed tensions in the Middle East. Okay, I'll definitely grant you that, but that's been a problem for how long? Renewed tensions. All right, so this schizophrenic disconnection between the stock market and oil and true supply and demand is though a symptom of one very disturbing illness lurking in the backwaters of the U.S. fiscal bloodstream: dollar devaluation. Okay, how many dollars are out there? We understand that the Federal Reserve has been engaged in nonstop quantitative easing measures in one form or another since '08. We don't know exactly how much fiat the Fed has printed in that time, and won't know until a full and comprehensive audit is finally enacted, but we do know that the amount is at the very least in the tens of trillions of dollars. All right, again, check out this page 131 of the GAO report. That's just what they've admitted to. Okay, by the way, www.gao.gov /assets. Okay, cut to the chase. So anyways, the dollar is being thoroughly squashed. Why is this not showing in the dollar index? That's, well, because the dollar index is basically a garbage index. And I'll tell you why. Dollar index. Okay, this is from Wikipedia. Okay, it's legit. I double checked the sourcing on it. Okay, dollar index is a weighted geometric mean of the dollar's value compared with 6 other currencies. Okay, the euro is 58.6%, Japanese yen 12.6, pound sterling 11.9, Canadian dollar 9.1, Swedish krona 4.2, Swiss franc 3.6. Okay, so there's the other side of the greenback in the dollar index. This is the reason why all those other currencies, with the exception of the Swedish krona, which isn't really traded on a futures basis, those are all traded very actively relative to the size that goes into the dollar index. Okay, so the index started in March 73 after the dismantling of Bretton Woods. Okay, so at its start, the dollar index started at par, 100. The highest it's been since then was 148.12 in Feb of 85. The lowest, 70.698 on March 16th of 2008. Note the date. All right, so the dollar right now is at 79.56. It's only 8 points off of its all-time low. All right, so why hasn't the dollar fallen out of bed? Because all those currencies are being devalued almost on an equal basis. So of course the dollar index isn't going to fall out of bed, because as it measures against a euro that gets increasingly weaker, dollar's weakness isn't going to show, because the tide is coming out, right? So all the boats are coming down evenly. And there you have it. The dollar is almost at its weakest level since March 1973. Of course you're going to have commodities that are priced in dollars strong. It takes more dollars to buy them. How much time?
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time. All right. I'm going to go on to one more, and I'll let you guys go. Okay. My favorite paid liar, Jay Carney. He says Gingrich is lying about 250 gas. You know what? I don't even care. Okay? I really don't. This guy, but I found my lie for the day. Okay? It's going to be a new segment of the show, by the way. The lie for the day. All right, so we're talking about 250 gas, and everybody's running scared. And naturally, they would talk to a gentleman named Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar. Okay? Now, Ken Salazar, is basically lying when he says, and I'll quote, "The fact of the matter is we are producing more from public lands, both oil and gas, both onshore and offshore, than at any time in recent memory. No one, until President Obama came into office, no one has really embarked on an all-of-the-above energy strategy, because that's ultimately what will be the insulation against these ups and downs and these price shocks." Okay, Secretary of Interior Ken Salazar, "We are producing more from public lands, both oil and gas, both onshore and offshore, than at any time in recent memory." Okay, I've been harping on this one for the last couple days. Okay, this is the EIA had just released this report on what day? The 19th of March. 4 days ago? 5 days ago? Okay, again, Energy Information Administration. The title of this report is "The Sales of Fossil Fuels Produced on Federal and Indian Lands, Fiscal Year 03 to Fiscal Year 2011. Okay, and I'm going to quote, okay, "Fossil fuel, coal, oil, and natural gas production on federal and Indian lands," this is the government's own website now, is the lowest in the 9 years that the EIA has reported this data, and is 6% less than in fiscal 2010. "The fact of the matter is we are producing more from public lands, both oil and gas, both onshore and offshore, than at any time in recent memory." Okay? No, you're not, Ken. Okay? No, you're not. Crude oil, I'll go back to this report now, the EIA's report. Crude oil and least condensate production on federal and Indian lands is 13% lower than in fiscal 2010. Natural gas production on federal and Indian lands is the lowest in 9 years that the EIA reports data, and is 10% lower than 2010. Coal production on federal and Indian lands is the lowest in 9 years the EIA reported, and 2% lower than fiscal year 2010. You sense a pattern here? And Ken Salazar, once more. The fact of the matter is we are producing more from public lands, both oil and gas, both onshore and offshore, than at any time in recent memory. You know, this is just like, well, let's put it this way. Ken's as good of an energy analyst as Nancy Pelosi. Okay. Remember old Nance not failing to talk about, I mean, if these people, these appointees, these minions, politicians, would just bother to use the internet or the government's own websites to back up their what they say, maybe there'd be a little more truth out there, you know, coming from politicians and appointed minions. You know, it gets old, and it takes 5 minutes with a keyboard to disprove these people, to prove that, you know, is it campaign rhetoric or a lie? You tell me. Very little difference between the two. All right, I'm going to stop. Okay, I've get myself worked up in too much of a froth. Anyways, if you'd like to give me a call, please feel free to do so. My toll free is 888-935-7979. My outside line 312-242-7996, or just email me jim.comiskey@archerfinancials.com, or leave a comment on the chain here. Me and Teddy endeavor to respond to all your comments. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Look forward to talking to you on Monday. Okay.